What's up everybody, this is Danny, and today I want to do something a little bit different with the camera comparison. It's been 1 year with the Galaxy Note 10 Plus, so what I want to do is after all of the updates, I want to see how it stacks up to some of the best cameras that are out there on the market right now. So I'm going to compare it to the Huawei P40 Pro Plus and the OnePlus 8 Pro. So let me know what video looks better, what sounds better, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to test it in every condition, and I want to see how well the Note 10 Plus held up over 1 year from a camera side. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's start with the daytime pictures. If we're keeping it real, pretty much all flagships today can take great pictures in daylight. All of these shots that you're seeing are in auto mode to make things fair with the scene optimizers and AI modes off. But all three have pro modes, so if you have the time to adjust and get that perfect shot, you can. So you have a lot of flexibility with all three. The dynamic range is great on all three cameras, but there are some differences in white balance, which you will see throughout the video. That just has to do with the processing. All of that is going to be personal preference. The colors, the same thing. You'll notice the sky rendition will be different between them. There will be some variances in the color vibrancy, but for the most part, I don't think any would really complain about the image quality on any of these cameras. If you're buying a Note 10 Plus today, or if you're using one right now, I wanted to do this test to see if it really differs that much from the newer camera systems from other manufacturers. The OnePlus 8 Pro and the Huawei P40 Pro Plus are my two favorite cameras available right now, so here are some main differences that I noticed after taking a bunch of shots and comparing them. The first main difference is the depth of field or background separation on a normal shot. I'm not talking about portrait mode of any kind, just a normal shot. The Note 10 Plus has a smaller sensor than the P40 Pro Plus and the OnePlus 8 Pro, so you will notice much deeper background separation, more like you would see from a DSLR or mirrorless camera. And a lot of times I do like this for the artistic look, and when these bigger sensors nail it like here on the P40 Pro Plus, it looks amazing, but most of the time you will get issues from fringing and focus. Look at the edges here, where on a smaller sensor like the Note 10 Plus, more will be in focus with the sacrifice of a little bit of bokeh, but in a lot of cases it looks nicer, and especially with the minimum focusing distance, if you get close, there's a very narrow center of focus on these big sensors, so this could be seen as a win or a loss. It just depends on your preference. The second difference is zoom. This might be important to some and not to others. The Note 10 Plus is limited to 2x optical zoom, which is pretty normal in smartphones today, but the P40 Pro Plus has up to 10 times optical zoom, so it's impressive how far the reach is. The OnePlus 8 Pro has a 3x zoom, so it's a little closer than the Note 10 Plus, which I think is a great in-between, but nowhere near the reach of the Huawei. So here's a great example from all the way across the lake. With the P40 Pro Plus, I can see exactly what they're doing with the 10x optical zoom, and it's surprisingly clear, and even with the 100 times zoom, it doesn't look as messy as I thought it would be. This is really impressive. Of course, if you want to stick to Samsung, the Galaxy S20 Ultra has extra zoom ability, and the Note 20 series will as well, so subscribe for those comparisons coming up. The third thing is resolution. The Note 10 Plus has a 12 megapixel camera, but the P40 Pro Plus has a 50 megapixel main sensor, and the OnePlus has a 48 megapixel. So when taken in higher resolution modes, you can really tell the difference when you zoom in. You can see a lot more detail. The building looks so much sharper from all the way across the lake. This might not be a big deal, but you can capture more detail with these other cameras. But again, the Galaxy S20 Ultra has 100 megapixel stills, so if you want this feature, I'm sure the Note 20 series will also have the same thing if this is important to you. Those are the three main things, but I think most of you can agree how close the Note 10 Plus is to all of these cameras. The tuning and software updates did good things for this camera. The portrait mode or live focus mode also keeps up really well, and all three have wide angle cameras, and the Samsung has one of the best for sure. Even though it's lower resolution than the other two cameras, I think the Note 10 Plus does well, and the front facing camera still keeps up. And while I don't think it's as good as the Huawei P40 Plus's front facing camera, one of the best out there, I think it still looks good. Let me know what you think. In terms of video, all three can capture up to 4K 60 frames per second. I like the video on all three of them, but there are some subtle differences, but all nice. The stabilization when walking is pretty similar on the three phones, all doing a good job, but I think the P40 Pro Plus might be slightly smoother, but the Note 10 Plus isn't picking up the bounce as much as the other two are. And the Note 10 Plus still has that awesome super steady mode to keep things very stable in 1080p. If you're doing a lot of action shots, the OnePlus also has this mode, but the P40 Pro Plus does not. Here's a quick zoom test in video all the way across from the lake again. OnePlus with the 3x zoom and the Note 10 Plus with the 2x zoom. And you can see with the Huawei here, just killing it with the zoom ability. It's absolutely impressive that you can see this much detail still with this level of zoom. Kudos to Huawei on this one. When it comes to nighttime in moderate low light conditions, the Note 10 Plus keeps up fairly well. I think most people would see the difference that I show you not to be a big deal, but after looking at a lot of images side by side, here are some of the differences that I saw in low light. First is just the overall processing and how the cameras handle harsher lighting and the balance of the entire shot. You can see how the P40 Pro Plus is handling this light on the sign like a champ, while the Note still struggles and the OnePlus is literally just crushing all of the shadows, losing detail around the sign. Even under 10x zoom, the Huawei does a good job. You can see this on the other shots like this water tower. The clipping is evident on the harsher light, but what's funny is that the OnePlus does worse than the Note 10 Plus. Night mode helps to even things out more on this water tower, but I would say from a single snap side of things, no special modes, the Huawei captures the most detail with the best balance. Look at the sign here on the P40 Pro, it does the best. When you punch in, you see that the noise level is also better on the Huawei compared to the other two. The three phones show different white balance and saturation renditions, but when you punch in, you can see that the detail is muddier on the Note 10 Plus. Look at the wood here, and the Note 10 Plus is the noisiest out of the three, so that shows you the advantage of the larger sensors on these other two phones. So this is what you will miss out on if you stick with the Note 10 Plus. There are some anomalies. Look at here where the Note actually does better with the neon sign, but most of the shots the Note performs slightly worse. It's nothing terrible, but you can see a difference. The smaller sensor in a lot of scenarios overcompensates, compromising balance. It does capture a lot more cloud detail, but the sign doesn't look great. When you use the zoom, you can see that the OnePlus crushes the blacks again too aggressively in my opinion, and the P40 Pro Plus has the better shot here. The same processing happens in portrait mode as well. The Samsung creates the brightest picture but clips the face, while the Huawei has the best balance. The OnePlus is too dramatic again, but some actually might like this, so let me know what you prefer. They all have nice background separation, but I do love the roll off of the P40 Pro Plus. It looks more natural. Also, a lot of the shots you can see that the Note 10 Plus is slightly softer. Just look at how sharp the P40 Plus is here. But the downside of the P40 Pro Plus is that it tends to be heavy with the green pickup on artificial lighting, so I would love to see that improved in future software updates. Here are some examples with and without night mode. I usually don't use it because it's a little too dramatic for my liking. People may hate me for this, but I prefer the OnePlus picture here, even though it shows less cloud detail, but all of them shift white balance when using night mode, so a lot of times you will get just two totally different looking pictures. Huawei's auto mode is really impressive. Just look at how much more detail is captured here. Night mode really helps make a dramatic difference on the Note 10 Plus, but the OnePlus Nightscape doesn't make a huge difference at all in this scenario. Thank goodness all three of these cameras have night mode on the wide angle camera too. That's the one thing that I don't like on the iPhone, because these wide angle night mode shots look amazing. Where night mode really wins is in the front facing camera. The Note 10 Plus has the same ability for selfies, so it makes a huge difference when it comes to sharpness and detail. It for sure beats out the OnePlus 8 Pro for the front facing shots, but the Huawei P40 Pro's front facing camera is damn good in low light, but that front facing night mode is really good on the Note 10 Plus. Just look at that detail and sharpness. Better nighttime video is also something that you'll be missing out on if you stay with the Note 10 Plus. I'm not saying that the Note 10's video is terrible or anything, but if you look close at the trees and the lighting, the detail level is much better on the OnePlus 8 Pro and the Huawei P40 Pro Plus. When you get into a darker and more complicated scenario like this one, you'll really see the noise in the sky on the Note 10 Plus. It's pretty terrible. And here is a stabilization test in lower light condition if you wanted to see that. If I had to call a winner here, it's the OnePlus. It has the best details and noise level out of the three. So in conclusion, the Note 10 Plus keeps up really well in daylight besides a few minor things, but nighttime is where you're going to really gain if you upgrade to one of these newer phones or a newer Samsung flagship in 2020 or 2021. Some things are just processing and software related, like their red color rendition. The reds look washed out. It's still like this on the S20 series, so it's not the camera sensor, so please improve that, Samsung, in the future. So if you really need that improvement in low light, that's when you might consider upgrading. But if you're okay with what I showed you here, then stick with your Note 10 Plus or buy a Note 10 Plus at a discount, because it is still a fantastic phone, and so are the other two phones that I showed here with it. Let me know what you think about this approach to camera comparisons and a revisit after 1 year. This was a fun one. Subscribe for a lot more camera comparisons like this one. Hit that like button if you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.